Hi all. This is a small tutorial, small guide on how to write a counter app inside of the Iced Toolkit GUI. Iced is very much inspired, or it's inspired or influenced by the Elm architecture and core concepts of Elm architecture: state, messages, view logic, and update logic. Also, here you have a small implementation that you could just copy paste and it's going to work, or you can take a look at the examples and you are also going to find how it looks. So increment and decrement, and we are going to be able to change the number. But here we are going to take a look of creating that from start. What you need is to first have Rust installed. You need to initialize a new package with cargo in it, and after you did that, you need to add Iced as a dependency, and to do that, you edit the cargo toml file and add Iced 0.8, which is the current version at the time of recording this video. And after that, you can run cargo update. It's going to update the dependencies, download what it needs to download, and other than that, you don't need anything. Inside of the source folder, we have only one file, that is the main.rs, and it's open on the left side of the screen. And I'm sorry. And when you did that, then we are going to be able to continue. So I am going to show you how to do this from start. And it's quite simple. It's very nice, and it's really a pleasure to work with this. Well, first we define what is going to be our app name, and that or better yet, let's start defining a state. State is, in this case, in the case of a counter app, state is a value of I32. And let's make a small comment here, state. So after that, after we defined our state, we need to define events, or how Elm or Rust calls it, messages. And this is going to be done by defining enum called message, but let's call it actions in this case, or action events. We can call it anyway. Okay, let's do message to be consistent with the Iced. And then let's call this an increment message, or we can call it event or an action. We're gonna call that increment, and okay, writing is hard, decrement message. Typing is hard. So when we did that, we just need to inherit, so like to derive certain traits. And this is not specific to Iced, but it's a part of Rust, but we need it so that later. So if we didn't implement this now, later when we do next step, it would complain that we are missing these traits, and that messages need to implement derive these traits. And the next part is implementation of something that is called sandbox. Implement sandbox for counter, save, and then we are going to import sandbox, save again. And let's just for a second take a look at the documentation what sandbox is. So sandbox application, the first sentence, And if you're just getting started with the library, this trait offers a simpler interface with application. And you can read on, but it's like, therefore, it's recommended to always start by implementing this trait, so the sandbox trait, and upgrade to application trait only when necessary. Application does some additional things, but also its implementation is a little bit more complex. For example, if we wanted to have animation in our app using Cosmic Time at the moment, because ICE doesn't still have its own animation by default, we would not be able to do that with a sandbox. We need to have application to do some asynchronous code. But for the purpose of this tutorial, sandbox is more than enough. As you can see, at the moment we have an error, there is a problem, and when we take a look what the problem is, it's going to say implement missing members. And let's do that. Implement missing members, save, and we have several functions. Function new, function title, function update, and function view. But before we deal with them, let's deal with this here small error. Type message. So what is type message? Well, we need to tell it what events it can expect. And in our case, it can expect message because we name this message. If we name this action or event, then here, this part would be called action, event, and so on. This part stays, of course, message. And now we need to do a new, or we can start with order with the title, for example. Let's start with the title. It's the easiest. So title, self-explanatory. It's just the title of our app, string from hi or hello from Iced. And that's about it. It's just the title of our app. The new method is more interesting. In this case, it's going to be quite simple, but in other cases, it should not be, or it won't be this simple. In new enables us to provide some initial data to our app. And in this case, we are going to provide the default value of 0. Now, this could be a value of 100, of 10,000, or whatever you want, or it could be the last value that was available on previous run of the app, or we can fetch something from the internet and provide it here as a starting point, and so on. If you have a list, it could be generated at the start of the app. So any setting up of the app can be done in a new method, and when the application is created, this data is going to be present when the window, when the screen pops up first time. Then we go to the update method, and update method, as it says, is used to update something. So what does the update method update? Well, state. It's going to update state. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to use Rust pattern matching, and we're going to match a message, and the first message that we are going to match is increment. Incrementing, we can do something like this, or we can just do self dot value plus equals 1. Then we can match the other one, decrement message, one. That's it. We save this, and yes, sorry. So we are just going to, I think I'm going to need to wrap this in a curly braces, save it. Okay, there it is. I'm sorry. So update is used to check the messages that were triggered by user and to update the value. To update the state, in this case, it's a value of I32. Last but not least, we get to the view. I think in ICE default or ICE example that is currently available in the ICE repo, they use column, and what you need to know, the column is just a container that lays its children out in a column, so one underneath the other. I'm not sure is it row or a column. I'm going to use a column, and then we're going to use first button, and it's going to be, of course, increment button. Increment button on press method is going to emit a message, increment message. I think I just need to, yeah, I don't know, for some reason it does not recognize this. So I'm going to go here and I am going to import, do this a little bit cleaner. We use ICE widget, and then I'm going to import all widgets that I need, and that are going to be button and text. Sorry, button and text. I don't need anything else for now. We added one button here, and then we are going to add text. The text self.value, it's going to be the value of the counter, and size, just make it a little bit bigger, it can be 30. And now we need one more button to decrement the value. On press, of course, it's a decrement value, decrement message, and that's about it. We're going to save. So we have a small issue here. I made a typo, use instead of used. And now here we just need to define something that is into, so we can, so increment I made increment message decrement message. Let me just check. Okay, I made one more typo, I think, here. Increment. Yes, I have an E where it shouldn't be. Oh, sorry. So when we wrote it, I also need to correct it here. Increment message, and that's about it. With this in mind, we have everything that we need. And but if we try to run this, it wouldn't work. And why it wouldn't work? Because, sorry, I need to, I'm sorry, I need to add semicolon here and save again. That's it. So even though now there are no errors, when we run cargo run, it's not going to work. And it's not going to work. I mean, in theory it works, it just prints out hello world, but this is not what we want. We want a window with our buttons and our column and to do everything that we need to do. And to enable this, we need to tell main method that what we expect from here is iced result, and then instead of this we need counter, which is the name of our app, counter, and settings are going to be default, and we're going to save. And now we need to import the settings, save again, and that's it, no errors. I'm not going to go in depth about settings. You can see here that we are using default, but what settings do is they provide some general starting points. So part of the settings, we could change the size of the window we wanted. And I think that going to the iced website, so let's say iced column in iced, and then let's say settings, and we have here the settings of application, and then these are the things that you can, so you can provide flags, you can provide window, default font, the text size of our application, sorry, exit on close we can override, so we can stop this. When you click on X, it will not leave, and the app, and so on. So a lot of things are defined here, but for now we're just going to use the default value. And now let's, start again our app. It takes some time, sorry, my computer is a little bit slower, my laptop, but it's going to pop up a window. And when it does, we can see that pressing increment button increments, pressing decrement decrement, and we have here our text field that says what is the current value. At the moment, it would be nice if we had some padding on the side and if this was in the center aligned, and I'm going to show you how to do that quite easy. So these things are defined on the column itself. Let's say that we want spacing between elements, so 10 between our children of column, sorry, and we want to have also padding of 10, and last but not least we want to align items, and we are going to do that by and alignment center. Save, run again. Going to take some time again, I'm sorry, but it should run, and we are going to have, so the space between button and this border is padding, also spacing between this and this border is also padding, defined here. So if we change that to 50, so just a moment, change it, save, and run again. Now you will see that the button and the text is going to go much lower because I increased the padding from here. But spacing is space between the button and text and the upper button. This is the spacing between the children, and this works flawlessly. So this would be it for this tutorial, and in next tutorials, I will probably try to explain more about layout, because having buttons here in the middle of the nowhere, so to say, is not the best. We want them to have, for example, here the zero is in the middle of the screen and one button on the left side, another button on the right side, and no matter how we change and how size of the window changes, this will always be equally distant from each other. One will be in one corner, other in another one will always be in the middle, and it will be responsive. So we will do that probably in the next tutorial. For now, that would be it. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you a nice day.